opportunity to have actually 6 counselors. Now, your student can speak to any one of our counselors, and we are blessed actually to have a male counselor, so that is great if your student wants to speak to a male. But your student can speak to any one of the counselors about any issues that they may have. We only ask that if they're changing their schedule, parents, you'll understand this, if they're changing their schedule, we want you to go to the counselor in your part of the alphabet so that we can make sure that we put you in the correct courses for your request. So that's the only thing we ask, but otherwise you're welcome to go to any one of our 6 counselors. We are actually going into the classroom next week, all week. Monday, Tuesday, it's going to be financial aid, and Thursday and Friday, it's going to be the CSU applications and the UC applications. And we will actually, we'll introduce the information, and then the next day the students will get on and start their application so they know where the site is, they know how to get going. The financial aid is a little more complicated if you've been reading your emails or stuff that you need to bring, but we're going to get it started. Financial aid is actually not due until March 2nd, but we want to get the students going on it right away so they can complete that application and find out what kind of money they will get to help support their education. Please do not start any of these applications until we are finished next week, because the district pays for a site called California Colleges, and it's like a one-stop college site. And on that site, you can learn about the UCs, the Cal States, the community colleges. You can also apply for financial aid. And if your student goes through that site to launch those applications, we as counselors can watch their progress. So if they got stuck somewhere and they didn't complete the application, you know what that's like. That happens, right? They just sort of get halfway through and they forget about it, and guess what? The deadline passes. So we can track that application and call them in and encourage them to complete that application on time so they can have all the opportunities available to them at the end of their senior year. So please don't do that until we are able to talk to them next week. So tonight we're going to try to zoom through a lot of information in very little time. This is the welcome. I've already done that. Will we be able to start? Okay. Talk about techie. I am learning about technology. So we are going to be able to start with financial aid and community colleges with Evelyn Hernandez and Sarah Estrada. They're from Coastline. And then we will go to Jose Amparo from Cal State Fullerton. And then we will finish up with Lorena Alvarez from UCI. And then they will stay around to answer questions. So without taking up too much time, because we don't have much, I'm going to introduce our first presenters. Good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, welcome everyone. My name is Sarah Estrada. I'm the Outreach Program Specialist here at Coastline College. And really what that means, I'm the high school liaison for high school students who are looking to start at Coastline right after they graduate from high school. So to start a little bit about community colleges, I think some of the common things that we hear a lot is that, does that work? Yeah, okay. Is that right? It's lower tuition, that it's lower cost. But the benefits of going to community college is a lot more than just that. We actually have 116 colleges all over California, community colleges, and students are welcome to apply to as many as they want. That's up to them if they want to do all 116. But a lot of students will tend to apply to the ones that have either the programs that So some of the benefits included in going to a community college would be they do tend to have smaller campuses than some of the bigger universities, which can lead to a lot of opportunities, getting to know the professors, building stronger relationships, building stronger networks. There are a lot of course flexibility too. At least for Coastline, we were doing the online thing way before the pandemic. So students could take classes with us online at any point, and it opens up their schedule to either, get a job, build their resume, or get involved on campus. There's a lot of degree and certificate options too. A lot of the students will graduate with multiple associate degrees, multiple certificates, and those could be the things that make them more competitive when it comes to transferring or when it comes to job applications or the job market. For a lot of students, it also provides a good transition from high school to college. So some students may have the self-awareness to know that I'm ready for college, but I don't know if I'm ready to jump into like the big ocean right away. So I feel like community colleges provide like that pond or that lake where they can start kind of navigating or learning about themselves and what skills they have, so that then they can transition into a four-year university by transfer. Their academic networks too, like I was explaining earlier with their professors. A lot of the students, the classes aren't big lecture halls in a lot of the classroom, in a lot of the community colleges. So the students get closer with their professors, closer with their student services staff, like counselors, career advisors, that can just help make them more competitive, again, for transferring or for finding a job. A lot of our professors at the community colleges also teach at the four-year universities. So really, you're getting professors that are teaching university-level courses for the community college price. With a lot of our courses too, our professors are more focused on teaching. They teach first and nothing but teaching instead of focusing on research first. The other thing that's really kind of sparks a lot of students' interest is that four-year universities actually accept a higher percentage of transfer students than they do straight from high school. So that can increase the chances for students to actually get into their top choice university. And we don't have any application fees. The applications are completely free. And then if you have any students that are undecided or still trying to explore different things, I know for me, I wanted to be an engineer and a dancer and all these things combined, right? So they'll take some time to explore and try different classes. And if a student takes a class and decides that's not what they like, they hated it, then it didn't cost a couple $1,000. It only cost a couple $100, right? So it's much cheaper to kind of take those risks and explore. Of course, the tuition is a big perk. This is the math if the student is going to be going full-time. To be going to a community college full-time, it's a minimum of 12 units. And our tuition rate right now is $46 per unit. So for one semester, the tuition alone would be the first level, which is $552. We do have a $12, at least at Coastline, a $12 college service fee, then a $23 health service fee, and then a $2 advocacy? Yes, advocacy fee. So for one semester, it'll be $589, okay? You multiply that by 2 for a full academic year, it's a little over $1,000. And this is assuming the student's not getting any financial aid, okay? And then Evelyn will be going over financial aid in a bit. So some of you may be familiar with Coastline, may have seen the new building that we have right there on Warner and New Hope, not too far from the Costco. This is actually our Newport building, and we have 4 campuses. Our popular one with students is our Newport Beach campus because it's right next to the beach. You can see the beach from the 2nd and 3rd floor. So it's really nice to kind of be in the balcony and take some study time in between classes. But a lot of the things that we have on that campus are our science courses. We also have our paralegal program there that has a paralegal lab that gives free services to a lot of people in the community. And it also has a robust DSPS program, which is for students with disabilities. So that could be anything from learning disabilities to access to physical needs that they might need. Anything that that program offers is available for students as long as they have the documentation. Then our Garden Grove campus is also nearby, and that tends to house all of our career and technical education programs. So a lot of our certificates. And these are the things that students can add on to their degrees and graduate with multiple certificates, again, to be more competitive. A lot of our CTE programs are actually around technology. So other schools might have like culinary arts, auto mechanics, fashion design, nursing. Ours all tend to do with the cyber world and computer technology. We also have the Westminster campus, and that one has a really big English as a second language program. So it's open to all students that are looking to take ESL courses. They're completely free, and we've had a lot of students complete the ESL program, then take courses at Coastline, graduate with their associate degree, and then transfer to schools like State Fullerton and graduate with the bachelor's degree. Then that new building that we have is our Student Services Center. So students wouldn't take classes there. That's where you would go to get any kind of services, whether it's for admissions, counseling, financial aid. Our office is there, student life. So students, it's important to know this department because it has all the departments that you need if you need help in becoming a student at Coastline. And then there's also our office that if you're coming straight from high school, you can work with me and I can make sure to help you and guide you throughout all the steps to make sure you're ready to go for your first day of class. And then, like I said, we've been doing the online thing way before the pandemic. So we're pretty good about those online classes. And a lot of students actually, before the pandemic, they were nervous about taking online classes. But after a semester or two, they really liked that option because it opened up their schedule and it was really flexible. They could study and do their work whenever it was convenient for them, and then they could also get involved with student life or student government or start their own club. So that was really helpful for them. This has a list of our degrees that we have at Coastline. It's a lot to go through, but after we actually do have brochures if you want to take one home just to kind of look at it a little bit closer. And we have these are the degrees where we already have agreements with four-year universities, especially the Cal States, and are called ADTs. So students that complete an ADT will actually have a higher chance of transferring, and they also get an extra 0.1 boost on their GPA. So if a student has a 2.9 GPA, but they completed an ADT, they would actually be applying as a 3.0 GPA applicant. So it makes them a little bit more competitive. And then as you can see, we have lots of certificates. A lot of them have a lot of things in common. So it might be just one extra class to get a second certificate or third or fourth. And I've seen students' transcripts and they actually graduate with like 2 degrees or 5 certificates, all kinds of stuff. And yeah, they use it to apply to jobs while they're transferring. And I'll pass it on to the money lady.
So my name is Evelyn from Coastline, and I'll be speaking about financial aid. So this is currently this is our FAFSA website. It is important because the application is actually opening up this Saturday. So as Ms. Fitz-Randolph mentioned, ladies will be doing the application soon. So, and then this is our GMAC application. So this is for students that are not U.S. citizens. This is the application that you will be applying for. Okay, so a few things that you guys need when you guys apply for the FAFSA application. So you will need the student's social security along with the parents, and then the alien registration number, which is if you are not a U.S. citizen, it's usually the green card. And then also your 2021 tax return transcript. So when your students do ask you guys for that information, you guys will need this information. I know it is very sensitive information, but again, this is for your student for them to apply for financial aid. Bank statements and records of investment, if it applies. And then everyone will have to create an FSA ID. I'll go ahead and detail what that is. And then if you are a dependent student, which everyone is here, you will need this information from your parents. So for your parents, your student will need your date of birth if you're married, when you guys got married, and then your guys' social security number as well. So what's an FSA ID? So this is very, very important. So the student and only one parent will have to create an FSA ID. The FSA ID is for students, so you guys can sign the application electronically instead of submitting it online. I want to say for the students, when you guys create an FSA ID, please make a personal email. Do not use your high school email. This is very, very important because when you guys graduate and you guys use your high school email, I believe the high school email it becomes inactive. So when you log in and you use your high school email, that email you won't have access to it once you graduate. So again, for students, please create a personal email when you guys are creating an FSA ID. And then for the parents, when you guys are also creating an FSA ID, make sure you use your information only. So do not use your student's email. Make sure everything is separate, because if you guys don't, it does cause a lot of issues, a lot of technical issues. So make sure just use everything separately, but only one parent will have to create an FSA ID as well to sign the application. So FAFSA deadlines, so for you students that are graduating this year, you guys will be submitting the application for 23-24. Again, this application does open up October 1st, which is this Saturday. Sometimes the website does crash if a lot of students start going right away and submit the application. So if it does crash this Saturday, just give it a few days for it to come back up. And then, as I mentioned, you guys will be providing your tax returns for 2021. So just a few financial aid federal programs. The main one is the federal program. I'll go more into detail about each one, just listing them. And then we also have federal work study, and then our loan subsidized and unsubsidized. And these are state financial programs. So Cal Grant, there's 3 types, which is Cal Grant A, Cal Grant B, and C. And then the California College Promise Grant, which was formerly known as the fee waiver. And then we do have another program called AB19. So the different types of aid, so how I like to explain it to students, anything that ends with grant is free money. So scholarships are also free money. The fee waiver that pays for your tuition is free money. Federal work study is free money as well. You receive it as a paycheck. And then loans, obviously you do pay back, so it's not free money. And then you also pay it back with interest as well. So now going into detail with our federal financial aid programs, the main one, like I mentioned, so when students submit a FAFSA application, is the federal Pell Grant. So these numbers are based here at Coastline. So currently right now our students, if their EFC, which is expected family contribution, is 0, our students are receiving $6,895 for the whole year. So that does get broken down half for fall and then half for spring. And then on the second section, it says dispersed based on enrollment status. So that is based on if your student goes full-time. So for example, if the student goes less than full-time, we will adjust that dollar amount and pay that student based on the units they are enrolled. At the bottom where it says limited to 600%, that means 6 years total. So students are eligible to receive this federal Pell Grant for 6 years. What some students do is if they decide to go to community college, they will use 3 years or 2 years here at community college, and then they can save the remaining when they transfer out to a university or a Cal State. A lot of students do that as well, so you can actually pause your financial aid, even if you just want to use it for 1 year, 2 years, and then you save the remaining when you transfer out. So the enrollment status, like I mentioned, full-time is anything above 12 units. Three-quarter time is 9 units to 11.5. Half-time is 6 to 8.5 units, and anything below that is less than half-time. Federal Work Study Program, most schools, I'll go back to here. So the Pell Grant, so this dollar amount, like I mentioned, is based on Coastline College. If your student does go to a university or Cal State, that Pell Grant amount does increase, obviously because that is more expensive. So something just to keep in mind. Our Federal Work Study Program, so what it does is provides jobs for students that still need more financial need. This program is available at community colleges, Cal States, and universities as well. Pretty much on the FAFSA application, if you guys want to take note, I believe on the first page, if there's a question that says, are you interested in Federal Work Study? I highly recommend, I always tell students, just say yes, because you never know if you are eligible for it, then you can go ahead and work. It's pretty much an employment on campus. You can work in any department. You can work in financial aid, you can work in admissions, you can work in counseling as well. And right now, currently, our students are only eligible to work 19 hours per week. They do set their own schedule. Our hourly rate is $15 an hour. And then if they do come back for the second year, it does increase to $70 an hour. So again, the dollar amount does vary from the college, from University or Cal State. So again, I would always recommend students to just say yes on that question. It is on your FAFSA application. And then it gives you the opportunity to also to other opportunities as well in the college. So moving forward, so Coastline does offer loans. This is a dollar amount that we offer based on if you're first year, second year. We don't really recommend loans. We don't really advertise it because we do have the fee waiver application along with the fee waiver and the federal Pell Grant. So essentially your tuition is free. But we do have that option. We usually recommend students to save the loans when they do transfer out where it's more expensive with the university or Cal State. This is currently our interest rate for our students, and we don't look at credit or any of that, so it's just pretty much applying, and if you get approved, that's what you're looking at. So moving forward to our state financial aid programs, like I mentioned, we do have our Cal Grant. At community colleges, the two Cal Grant options are Cal Grant B and C. Pretty much to apply, and if you are eligible for Cal Grant, it does go based on the units that the student is enrolled in. Currently, our students, this is what our students are looking at for the whole year. So again, we do split that in half for fall and half for spring. And this one is very important, our California College Promise Grant. So it was formerly known as the fee waiver. So this is pretty much that's why community colleges are much cheaper than at Cal State University. You submit a FAFSA application, and this is what covers your tuition. So like Sarah mentioned, it's $46 a unit right now. There is no unit restriction. There is no limit of how many years you're at community college. All you do have to is apply and be a California resident, and this will cover for your tuition. So essentially, students will go full-time, which is what Sarah mentioned, which was a $528, I believe. With the California College Promise Grant, the tuition does get waived, and students only end up paying $30 to $40 per semester. So this is, which at a university and at Cal State, students do not have this option. They actually take their tuition out of their Pell Grant. So this is very, very huge for students. And then as I mentioned, another state program is our California Promise, our AB-19. So this program is for students that do not qualify for any state or federal aid. So let's say your student submits a FAFSA application, they come to Coastline College, and we tell them you're not eligible for any financial aid. So essentially they have to pay those $500 out of pocket. This program is for those students that are not eligible for any aid. So they have to be a California resident. They do get their tuition for free up to 2 years. And then they have to be a first-time college, so students right after high school that come to community college and have to be enrolled in 2 and 12 units. And then they get assistance with textbook as well. So this is for students, because we do have students that apply for financial aid and they say, well, I'm not eligible for anything, and they have to pay for everything out of pocket. This program is intended for those students. So we'll give you free tuition for the first 2 years and textbook assistance. So these are the options for Coastline. So you submit your application, and I believe the college application, community college, is open now. So your students, if you guys do plan on attending community college, it's a great opportunity to submit that application now, along with the FAFSA application that will be opening on Saturday. This is our contact information, Sarah and I. If you guys have any questions, feel free to send us an email. I also did, I put some flyers in the back outside if you guys want to grab those flyers. I know she mentioned that you guys will be having workshops in your classrooms for students, but we are also hosting workshops, financial aid workshops via Zoom. So if you guys don't finish the application with your teachers, you guys are more than welcome to attend with us, and we'll assist you guys in the application.
Come on up. Oh, I think I figured it out. Okay. Can we read this, right? Yes. You will. Oh, did I just? So this is Jose from Cal State Fullerton.
All right, everyone, thank you for having me. My name is JC Alamparo, or Jose Carlo Alamparo. I am an outreach and recruitment counselor at Cal State Fullerton. And good evening. And tonight I'll be talking about the California University, the Cal State system, and also a little bit about the Cal State Apply. So just a bit of an overview with both. All right, so we have 23 campuses all across California. I am a visual person, so feel free to check on the map. We are all over the place. I do want to let you know that about 1 out of 10 California employee is a California State University graduate. And also a little fun fact, about half of the bachelor's degree that California awards comes from the California State University system. I am a very visual person again, and so we have about 8 campuses in Northern California. In Central California, we have about 5 campuses. If you want to be by the beach, we have Cal Poly Slope or San Luis Obispo. And if you like to be by the national parks, Yosemite, Sequoia, we have Fresno. And I'm sure we're all pretty familiar. Down SoCal, we have about 10 Cal State campuses. The best one, Fullerton, yeah. But Long Beach, LA, all the Cal States, all amazing. So we offer bachelor degree programs, we offer master's programs, and we do offer doctoral programs as well. We also offer credentialing programs. For example, we are really well known for our teaching credential program. So what other programs are there? There are over 4,000 various programs that the Cal State University system offers. I do want to let you know that each campus has a unique program. For example, Cal State Fullerton, we have a bachelor's integrated with the master's in computer engineering. So a student could earn a bachelor and a master's in 4 years in computer engineering. We have a direct entry program. Only 2 Cal States offer a direct entry program to the nursing program. So again, each Cal States will have different unique programs, and definitely I recommend checking them out. So for the first and first years, the admission requirements is completing high schools, complete the A through G coursework. Each campus will have different supplemental factors, and each campus will have a minimum GPA requirement. Looking at the Cal States, you do have to be aware of impaction for each campus. To my left, those are the campuses that's impacted. In the middle, campus impaction means that they're not fully impacted, that certain majors are impacted. And the CSU eligibility, essentially, if you meet the minimum requirements, since they are not impacted, you meet their requirements. Impaction essentially means that for the impacted campus and impacted majors, the Cal State is getting more application than seats available. So essentially, those majors, those campuses may require additional requirements, or meeting the minimum requirements may not be enough, so you do have to be a bit more competitive. This is just an average tuition cost. Among the Cal States, you're looking at about $7,400 per year. That is only the tuition costs. Keep in mind that there's still books, housing costs to definitely keep in mind. But I do want to let you know that we have given a lot of financial aid. For example, Cal State Fullerton, last year we have awarded over $400 million in financial aid. And some financial resources, Cal State Fullerton have unique scholarship programs university-wide. We have the President's Scholars Program at Greenville for first-generation college students. We have the Guardian Scholars for foster youths. And if you fill out FAFSA, you may be eligible for grants and loans and federal work study. Aside from that, I also want to highlight that each college in Cal State Fullerton, they have their own scholarships for students. And those scholarships are only available for Cal State Fullerton students. So lots of financial resources out there. And just one of my favorite facts is that more than 50% of undergraduate in the CSU system graduates without any loans. So again, we provide a lot of value if you're looking for your bachelor's degree. So hopefully I got everyone excited to apply to a Cal State. And so how do we apply? You will apply via Cal State Apply. It is a centralized application for all 23 campuses. So it's one application for all the CSUs. But keep in mind that certain majors may have supplemental factors, so just be aware of that. Cal State Apply will be open October 1st all the way up to November 30. Some campuses may have a later deadline, but the earliest deadline for a CSU is November 30. And please don't submit it on the last day, because last year it crashed. So just a little bit of advice. So step one, you will need to create an account. We advise students not to use the high school email. Use a personal email that you check a lot, mainly because once you graduate, that email may not be available to you, and there may be some email communications that you may not be receiving, so be aware of that. So another thing is that with the Cal State Apply, it's very intuitive. So once you create your own account, you will need to complete your extended profile. This is really important because if you make a mistake, for example, if you say you're a transfer student in your extended profile, you will not be able to enter your high school data into the Cal State Apply system. So I just want to highlight how important it is because this will allow you to see the full function of Cal State Apply based on the extended profile that you create. Step two is selecting your major. As mentioned earlier, we have over 4,000 various programs within the CSUs. This is one way to search, one, which campus is offering the major that you're looking for, and two, be able to apply to those campuses. So I would go ahead and play around with this so that you can go ahead and view and search for the program that you're looking for. Step three is completing all the quadrants right here. And the cool thing about Cal State Apply is that it's going to show if you have completed the quadrant or not. So it's going to show 1 out of 8 completed if you've only completed one portion of it. So again, it's very intuitive. Quadrant 1 is very simple. It's your personal information. The most important part is filling out the financial and parental information because you may qualify a fee waiver. Each application is $70, but if you enter your financial and your parental information on here, you may qualify for up to I believe, 4 applications fee waiver. So quadrant two is where you put your high school information. I would like to highlight that if you are taking dual credit courses, then you will need to enter that under college attended, even though you're still in high school. And that's for the dual credit one. And I would like to highlight that if you do have a CCGI account, you could go ahead and enter it in the Cal State Apply, and it will pre-fill your high school information. So that's a pretty cool function this year, and it should make filling out the coursework a lot simpler. Another important thing I want to highlight in this quadrant is the A through G matching. Please make sure that the A through G totals, you're meeting them. Because if you are not meeting them and you submit your application, chances are it's going to get denied because you gotta meet the A through G requirements. And this will sum it up, and it will be a good way for you to review it before submitting it through this. If you need assistance with inputting coursework or something about the application that's a little bit complicated or something that you may not understand, there is a help desk, and I love using the freshman application guide. If you ask me for a question, I will probably refer to that guide. So it's an amazing resource. Another thing too is that they do have a contact information. So you could also contact Cal State Apply if you have any, if you're going through some issues with the application. Quadrant 3 is supporting information. If it's going to be yes or no, certain questions are going to be yes or no, asking you if you were part of an educational program. And if you do want to apply for the EOP program, it's in this quadrant where you apply. For quadrant 4, when you're applying in a certain Cal State, certain programs may have major requirements. And if they do require major requirements, it's going to be in this quadrant. So make sure to double check this quadrant. And one cool thing about Cal State Apply is that if they do have a major or program requirement, and let's say you just missed it, it's going to show us incomplete. But this is where you add that. So this is what it's going to look like if your application is complete and incomplete. We're definitely loving the new updates with Cal State Apply because it is becoming more intuitive so that it's becoming more user-friendly. Definitely review your application because once you submit your application, you will, let's say you made a mistake, you will need to contact each Cal State that you have applied to make that change. So you won't be able to make a change manually into your Cal State Apply once you have submitted it, so please make sure to review it. And once you're ready to submit, all you have to do is click Submit All. And you can also check the box to check and see if you qualify for a fee waiver. And if you qualify, this is what it's going to look like. Again, this is just an overview with the Cal States and the Cal State Apply. We are going to provide more information. If you want information regarding Cal State Fullerton, this Wednesday we're providing a highlights presentation. If you're interested in our direct entry nursing program, our School of Nursing is going to be there as well. We're gonna hold Cal State Apply workshop, something more in depth instead of an overview. We're gonna have it in English and Spanish, so I definitely want to invite everyone here. And also, I want to plug that on November 5th, we are having an open house. And in our open house, we're going to have a Cal State Apply Lab. So students could go ahead and come in and talk to counselors and get one-on-one assistance with counselors with their application. And not only that, it's also an open house. Tours are going to be available. Campus partners are also going to be there. So it's a good way to visit our campus. And lastly, this is a way to connect with us if you have any questions regarding admissions here or housing and financial aid. These are the department's contact information. Please follow us in our social media. That's where we provide updates. And if you want past presentations, Title on Demand, check us out. Thank you.
Get up here because he said something very important about launching through California colleges. One of the most difficult part about doing a college application for Cal State or UC is a student has to put down their classes and their grades. And a lot of mistakes can be made. You cannot just do it by memory. You have to be looking at them. If you wait for us and we launch through California colleges, the district has downloaded the transcript onto the application. So that's already been done for you. It's downloaded, it's there, the classes, the grades are already in place, and then you can go on and do all those other parts that you talked about. And the counselors will go through each one of those steps during our workshops, and as we call them in later. So I just want to thank you for that. That was a good, good information. I appreciate you doing that. Now we're going to have Lorena Alvarez from UCI. Can I help you?
Yeah, we should plug in.
Take this out.
Yeah.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here today. I know a lot of you might have come here from work, so I really appreciate you taking the time to be here to support your students and family. I'd like to start off the presentation by talking a little bit about myself. My name is Lorena. I'm an undergraduate admissions evaluator at UC Irvine. It's gonna be 2 years since I've been there, but I like to say that I'm a product of the UC system. So I didn't go to UCI for undergrad, but I did go to UC Santa Barbara, and then I went to UC Riverside for graduate school. So I have a pretty good understanding of what the UCs have to offer, and I'm really happy to be able to work with them and to talk to you about them today. And so to get started, I wanted to talk to you about our 9 campuses. And so we're 9 set of campuses with 1 set of requirements. So each campus is going to review their student's application independently, but it's going to be the same application. We recommend that students apply broadly to increase their chances of admissions. And so in case you didn't know what schools we had, here's a list of them. And so we have Berkeley, we have Davis, we have San Diego, UCLA, UC Irvine, UC Merced, UC Riverside, UC Santa Barbara, and UC Santa Cruz. And so each UC, like your student, is going to have their different personalities, and they're going to have different majors and different size. So depending on what your student is looking for, you want to make sure that you're selecting a campus that's going to be the best fit for them. A lot of students tend to focus on the program and department as opposed to what they need from that program and department. So if a student needs to go to a smaller school, then we would recommend maybe applying to UC Merced or UC Santa Cruz as opposed to bigger campuses like UC San Diego that has over 42,000 undergrads as opposed to like 29,000 undergrads at UC Merced. And so again, it's 9 campuses are part of the same system, and we share the same colors. So as you can see, blue and yellow is it's the theme throughout the UC system. And again, just to kind of give you an idea of how much they differ in size, I was actually incorrect. So Merced's undergraduate population is only 9,093, as opposed to maybe UCLA that's at 46,000. So kind of to give you a kind of like the a good descriptor of how they vary in terms of size and programming. And so now I wanted to talk about what it means to apply to the UC system. And so this is the application deadline, and so starting August 1st, students are able to start working on their application, meaning it's open, students can start inputting information, however, they're not able to submit their application. And so starting October 1st, which is something different that we started this year, is when students are able to start submitting their application. In previous years, the submission period was only between November 1st and November 30th, but now students have a whole extra month to submit their application. So by March, students are going to be finding out if they've been admitted. Usually it comes out in a rolling basis, so if a friend, let's say, got into UC Irvine, but like your student did it, hasn't gotten a response, don't worry, they usually come out on a rolling basis. And usually the UCs have an agreement to roll them out throughout the month of March. So don't worry, they're not going to all come out at the same time, and they're going to be rolled out throughout March, and sometimes as early as April too. By May 1st is when we expect students to submit their statement of intent to register. So just letting your respective university know that you intend on registering and attending their university. And so July 1st is when we expect students to submit official final transcripts. And I wanted to highlight this specifically. A lot of students tend to think that they have to submit transcripts when they apply, and they don't. Similar to the Cal State system, everything is self-inputted, so that's why it's super important to make sure all the information on your UC application is accurate, because this is the information that readers, evaluators are seeing. So please triple check all the information, your grades, and have maybe your counselors check it as well in order to ensure that the information is accurate. And once you've been admitted and you selected your campus, we expect you to submit those transcripts by July 1st. So now in terms of minimum requirements, and so the minimum requirements are going to be the same throughout the whole UC system. So the minimum requirement as a California resident is a 3.0 GPA within your A through G course requirements. And so we do not take into consideration SATs or ACTs anymore for admissions purposes. However, if you, for example, your student might have taken an SAT or an ACT score, they can submit it. However, they're not going to be utilized within the admissions purposes. So just know once you've been admitted, they're only going to be used for placement purposes. So whether it's your English class or math placement within your respective university, whenever you've been admitted. And so, again, only A through G coursework is calculated, and I'm going to go over how that is calculated in the next few slides. Plus and minuses grades are not recognized, so an A plus is going to be the same as an A minus. And so only college coursework, advanced placement, and IB honors level courses receive that honors grade point. But the student must receive an A, B, or C in order to receive that honors grade point. And there's also a limit to that honors grade point. So students are only able to receive a maximum of 8 semesters, including no more than 4 semesters taken in their grade 10 year. And so these are the A through G requirements. We expect students to complete 15 A through G courses just to meet the minimum. However, as you can see under mathematics, for example, while 3 years is required, we do recommend 4, given the competitiveness of maybe the respective university that y'all are going to be applying for. So if possible, we do recommend doing the recommended amount of coursework if available. And something else I want to highlight is some courses come with sequential knowledge. And so what do I mean by that? So for example, let's say your student took Spanish 3 their sophomore year and they passed it with an A, that would give them the 3 years because it's sequential. And so this is similar to math courses as well. I would recommend speaking to your counselor to see how that sequential validation will play out with regards to your students' classes, but just know that certain math courses and language other than English can be validated. And so these are the options for satisfying A through G course requirements. So as you can see, students can take their high school courses, they can do online courses, they can do AP scores of 3 or higher, IB higher level scores of 5 or better, and they can even take college coursework. At Coastline, for example, they can take online college coursework and also satisfy A through G requirements. requirements that way. And so they do need to get a grade of a C or better. And as you can see, 1 semester of a transferable college course is equivalent to like 1 year of high school coursework. However, you want to make sure the course that you do take is transferable. And so a lot of students think they can take just whatever community college course. That's not necessarily always true. And so one way to figure that out is through ASSIST, but I won't go through that. Feel free to ask your counselors for additional support to ensure that the courses you do decide to take at your prospective community college is transferable. And so this is how we calculate the GPA for eligibility at UCs. And so starting the summer after your 9th grade year through the summer after your 11th grade year, we look at that's how we calculate your UC GPA. And so as mentioned, students self-report these grades and courses as listed as on their transcripts. And so again, students must complete all their A through G requirements with the C or better. And so now that I talked about eligibility, just meeting the minimum requirements, taking the minimum A through G, meeting the minimum 3.0, I want to differentiate what we mean by eligibility and versus being selected, because I'm sure a lot of your students are amazing, they're meeting these requirements, but we want to make sure that they're also being competitive enough for the selection process. And so, as mentioned, eligibility is going to be the same across all the UC campuses. And so just meeting the minimum is not enough to be selected at your first choice campus. And so selection is it's going to vary from campus to campus. Usually faculty have their own requirements within their respective departments. And so this is determined via comprehensive review. There are 13 factors that we look at as readers and as faculty. And again, the faculty with regards to the selection process is going to vary with regards to their selection depending on what they're looking for in a student. We look to see that the student actually exceeded the minimum A through G requirements and also exceeded the minimum GPA requirements as well. And so I know I mentioned comprehensive review, so I wanted to share what that means. And so these are the comprehensive review factors. And so again, UC comprehensive review is based on faculty decided factors, and it depends on a variety of academic and non-academic factors. And so for the entire system, but the faculty at each campus is going to determine how to interpret those factors. So as you can see, the comprehensive review, these are just like the basics, GPA, courses meeting beyond the minimum, but we also look at students outside of the numbers, right? We want to see achievements in special projects, we want to see improvement in academic performance, we want to see what special talents or achievements and awards they may have. We look at their participation in educational preparation programs, and we also see their academic accomplishments within their life experiences. Oh, something else I do want to highlight as well is the quality of senior year program of study. A lot of students tend to think that by senior year they applied, they're good to go, but I recommend keeping that rigor within your senior year as well, because students have been rescinded for getting a D in their A through G requirements. So it's important to at least get a C or better in your A through G requirements your senior year, and that you maintain that rigor throughout your senior year as well. And so another component of the UC application is the personal insight questions. So think of these as personal statements. And so as opposed to back in the day when I applied, students back then would only have to do 2 essays. Now students are able to do 4 essays. And so that allows students to talk more about themselves and provide context and for readers to know more about the student, right? And so here are the types of questions the 8 questions that students can select from. There is no right question. I often get students ask me Ms. Lorena, which question should I answer? Which was the best one that's going to get me in? There's no best question. It's going to be whichever is going to be the best question for your student. For example, you want to talk about maybe, for example, the example I bring up a lot is maybe your student is the eldest of 5 siblings, right? And they were helping their students, their other siblings navigate COVID, learning, through online modules, learning from home. And so that's a leadership experience, and that's something to definitely talk about. And again, this provides context outside of the academic areas and leadership as well. And so leadership doesn't have to look like, just being president of a club. It can look in different ways. And so you definitely want to talk to your student, maybe evaluate how you maybe dealt with COVID, because a lot of students had to deal with a lot of things through COVID, and that's so important to mention. And that's a story you definitely should tell your readers, because we know COVID happened, but we don't know how it affected you personally. So if there's a way you can implement that, I definitely recommend it. But again, there's going to be no best question. It's going to be whichever is going to be the best question for you. And each question, the 4 questions have a minimum of 350 words, or maximum of 350 words. And so this is the overall deadline. I already went over this, but again, just to highlight the March 2nd deadline to submit your FAFSA or your California DREAM Act. I recommend submitting this as soon as possible, maybe even before your December. That way, once your students are getting admitted to all these campuses, you're going to be able to compare your financial aid packages sooner rather than later. So the sooner you submit your FAFSA, the sooner you're comparing those financial aid packages and seeing which school is going to be the best fit for your student if the financial cost is something that is important to you. And I already went over the May 1st deadline and the July 1st deadline. And so if you want to contact admissions, feel free to use our chatbot. Right now we're limited with hours, but starting, I think after recruitment, starting November, students are going to have access to a counselor online between 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. So you can log on and just talk directly to a counselor. I might talk to you at one point, but we also have admissions.uci.edu/contact. And this is a way for your students to get in contact with their counselor directly if they have any questions regarding their program of study with regards to the application. And it usually takes 5 to 7 business days to answer. And I also wanted to do a shameless plug. So October 15th, we have Discover UCI. So if you've never visited UCI, given how close it is, I definitely recommend coming October 15th. There's going to be a lot of departments tabling. There's going to be events. Admissions is going to be out there. So if you have any questions, if you want to get tours and visit UCI, I definitely recommend making a visit to us that day. But thank you so much for your attention.
That was amazing. You were all amazing. So once again, I just want to review with you who was here tonight. We have Sarah Estrada, and she talked about financial aid, right? Sarah talked about community college, and Evelyn Hernandez from Coastline, and then JC, you like to go by JC, correct? Yeah, JC and Maro from Cal State Fullerton, and Loretta for Alvarez from UCI. So they have agreed to stay a little bit to have you come up and ask questions or to find out more information from them. But this is the end of our presentation, and I want to thank you all for coming out tonight. And remember, hopefully we recorded it, and it's going to go on Heron Square, and you can watch it again because that was a lot of amazing information. I feel like everything I've ever said in the last 2 years you guys said. So thank you very much for coming, and we'll give them, you can come up and ask them questions. So thank you. Have a nice day. So you're welcome to come up and ask questions for a few minutes. They said